Hey there, everybody. Thanks for joining us for another episode of Sober in Seattle with Steve and Nancy. And we are running a late edition of Step 11. Uh, November kind of got away from us, but better late than never. And hello, Steve and Nancy. How are you?
Hey, Lara.
Hey there, we're great. Thank you.
You guys are great. That's a consensus, I think, of this room, which,
You're
okay.
the only one in it.
I'm the only one here, but that's, yeah. Okay. But anyway, so step 11, I guess I'm going to just turn it on over to you. And if I have any questions, I may chime in.
Okay, well, thank you. So, step 11, and just reading the first paragraph from the big book, it says step 11 suggests prayer and meditation. We shouldn't be shy on this matter of prayer. Better men than we are using it constantly. It works if we have the proper attitude and work at it. It would be easy to be vague about this matter, yet we believe we can make some definite and valuable suggestions. So, which they do, and it's on awakening when we retire at night, which, people that have been in the program for a while are all familiar with those directions. And what I wanted to talk about was, my experience with step 11 and the evolution of what it's come to mean to me. Step 11 in the beginning was, in the beginning, if the topic of the meeting was, and today we're going to talk about step 11, I'd be thinking, why can't we talk about something interesting like my problems? And any rate, so I don't think I've ever heard of anybody saying negative things about step 11. It's in a conceptual way. It just makes sense. We're in AA. We're trying to lead a different life. We should be praying and meditating, and there's so many topics, especially in November, but all through the year, about people picking upon awakening and when we retire at night. And I would say that and of course they're talking about daily, not only daily prayer and meditation. They actually, in the part that I just read, they're talking about people better than us are using it constantly. And constantly is a cool word if you look it up. It means without interruption. And at some point I thought, who does that? Who prays and meditates and to do God's will constantly? Well, here's how so step 11 changed from me to a concept, some letters on the posters that are up on all the AA meetings about sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God. And that's an interesting word too, just how the steps written out. To improve our conscious contact with God, I say suggest that we already have conscious contact. And that certainly wasn't my reality for a long time. And I'm talking about being in AA for a long time. I believed in God. I had a conception of God that worked, that was okay for me. And I didn't really spend any time thinking, how could I improve this? Okay, so I ended up doing a while back, I was open to a new conception, and I want to live a sober life, and it's been a long time since I've had a drink, so I'm not thinking about I want to live a life without drinking, which I do, but that's not on my mind. I want to think correctly, and to me, if a person thinks correctly, a manifestation of correct thinking is a happy, harmonious, peaceful life, because I think that's the expression of thinking correctly. And I want it. And step 11 in the beginning was kind of a checklist thing, like I would want to leave an impression at a meeting. Oh yeah, I do this every day. And the reality might be I do it once a week, or maybe some periods of time once a month where I'm actually doing it. And what happened, and it's been a while now, Nancy and I, we get up early in the morning, not like we sacrifice our sleep. We're just early risers. And almost every single day, we are talking about God's will, and in a joint, what we would call prayer and even meditation. And the way it looks with the two of us is we may look at a topic, like we believe in the spiritual law that kindness is always appropriate. We think it's a basic 101 spiritual law that we're supposed to practice in all our affairs. And we might talk about that because our understanding isn't that kindness, as far as, hold the door open for somebody, which is a kind act, but it's more in a conflicting time. And it's what's the kindest, the absolute kindest thing how we could respond to this situation. And wouldn't you know it, our life is filled with opportunities to be sarcastic or respond in kindness. And it's filled with opportunities to put the brakes on and think, well, wait a minute. What if it involves money? What if it involves time that I don't want to share? And then we can talk about, well, what do we think God's will is? And it gets, for us at any rate, it's been easier as we practice, because even we can't convince ourselves that God would want us to blow somebody off, And then we try well, God would want us to just take this thing easy and ignore responsibilities or opportunities to respond to life situations that are appropriate. And so in a way, that's our review on Awakening. When we read it, like we both have for so many years, just line by line out of the book, it became rote. And it seemed to have lost some of its meaning in how we can apply it in our life. And so we looked at different ways to apply the exact same ideas, and in that looking to having the power to carry out what we think God's will is. Every time I've been in a situation where I think that this would be the kindest way to react in this situation, and I don't want to, this is going to be my exception. And I'll ask for forgiveness or whatever later. But if I can take what I've learned in Alcoholics Anonymous, if I can pause and even ask myself, is the power there? It always is. And so it turns out for me, it's a decision versus lack of power. Do I want to follow the steps that I say I want to? And it's just like I'm trying to constantly get rid of just insane thoughts, because I believe that living a kind life, it generates a happy life. And so why would I want to go against that? And then step 11 became, or it changed from kind of an obligation that I got to do step 11 or lie at meetings and try and give the impression that, hey, I'm a guy that does step 11 regularly. And that may have gone on for a long time. But I found there's, what a surprise, great benefits in step 11, just great benefits. And no wonder they introduced step 11 in the book the way they did, because how would I have known unless we actually did it? And so it's been reinforcing to me that the power to think correctly, it gets easier and easier. And of course, that doesn't mean that challenges don't come up sometimes, multiple times a day, and maybe sometimes not so much, because I can experience a change from a default way I had of thinking, that if I respond in a way that for whatever reason is going to cost me money or cost me time, I don't feel a loss anymore. I know the ultimate goal is it's going to be a gain, because that's the way it works. And okay, that's a lot of talking on my part. And also what towards the end of step 11 in the book, which is one of my favorite pages, it says, there are many helpful books also. Suggestions about these may be obtained from one's priest, minister, or rabbi. Then there's a direction here. Be quick to see where religious people are right and make use of what they offer. And there came a time since I've been in AA where I spent a lot of time on that paragraph, because I had an emotional state that I couldn't fix by myself. And I found great help in many books that people recommended. People in AA happen to have been in AA. And the help I got was, it's a whole different topic that I could talk about for a long time. And so the step 11 for me, in the way it's described in the book, it's so helpful. And that's actually that's how I want to live my life. I want to seize opportunities to think correctly and be a happy person that has harmony in my heart. It's a lot different than how I used to live. Okay. Did I blab long enough?
No, that was all good. All good. I loved it. Like Stephen started out by saying, we sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God as we understood him. So that conscious contact, like Stephen said, I believe we have the means within us for contact with God. The fundamental idea of God is deep within, right? Every man, woman, and child. That fundamental idea, that's the basis. It doesn't go away. We can cover it over with a lot of other stuff, so I'm not aware of it. I'm not conscious of it. So step 11 is a step that recognizes that and encourages us to develop some kind of a practice. When we first get into AA, like I've heard it described before, like as a spiritual emergency room. And then getting through the steps, getting to step 11, having progressed through the steps and hitting those markers, right? That now it's a spiritual classroom rather than a spiritual emergency room. And like any classroom, I don't know about most listeners, but when I was in college, my classroom, it's like, I could blow it off. You could blow off going to class. I got the results of that too. But showing up, my second year at school, since I was paying for it, and I went to every class every day, and that was just my way of, I don't know how I came to that conclusion, because I was pretty out there, but I did go to every class every day, And I got the results of that. And I think that analogy applies to step 11. Now, does it happen every day? No, there's some days where it doesn't happen, and I feel it. And it is a very different day. But when it's like this idea, this higher power, I don't need to invent it. I just need to invite it. That's all I'm asked to do. And my own prayer and meditation has changed way much over the years. You know, our book tells us, you know, we might memorize a few set prayers, and we definitely had those, having grown up with a religious education. But then nothing works forever, right? There is an evolution, as you mentioned, of our of this line of communication, to keep it open, to keep it clear, you know, and the prior steps have helped to open that channel, and this keeps it open. Let's see. There's nothing like, and you know, it can be so simple, you know, just to sit down for 5 minutes, which is better than no minutes, right? With an open mind, and the chatter in the mind might all still be there, but I'm still sitting there. I'm aware of it, but I'm not paying attention to it. And I ask for direction. I ask for the intuitive thought or a decision. I mean, our book is so wonderful that it tells us what to ask for, but we need to ask. And, you know, I've had intuitive thoughts before that have said, you know, ask. You don't always ask. And I think that is us with our willingness to hear. And I might not get an answer right then, but I get an answer that day, later that day. And I know it doesn't come from this brain. It comes from a part of my mind that is the working part of my mind. It's like gradually this becomes a working part of the mind instead of that broken mind that I would constantly turn to. And so there's nothing like the personal experience of this power that is within us, for me to know it's there. And the result of that is this conviction that I'm not alone, I'm not abandoned, that I'm okay. When I feel I'm okay, no matter what is happening around me, if I'm okay, then I'm free to ask anybody, like, are you okay? If somebody seems that they are not doing well, because especially if it seems to be directed towards me, it's like, because I know I'm okay. But that doesn't happen with just wishing for it. You know, there's this clearing the ground, you know, like even, you know, these founders, you know, they talked about, we can only clear the ground a bit, you know, no matter how much they told us that this works, that you would have a working relationship with your higher power. It's like my analogy the other day, and Lara, you might relate to this, like, if you go to the gym all the time, well, I can't expect your results. If I'm not going to get your results if I'm not, you know, it's like, but it's like we sort of expect, like even by reading about it, but not actually doing it, not actually putting myself in the space where I can, you know, like just clear the table and not come up with more ideas and more stuff that I think needs to happen this way or that way. I'm given everything I need. Just a few weeks ago, or maybe, I don't know, a month or two ago, I came across this booklet that I don't know where it came from. I was searching for something else, in an old book that was in the basement, and this was just stuck in the book. And it was the St. Francis prayer. It was an AA. I don't know where it came from, but it was somebody in AA. And all the time before, after all these years, like, the 12 and 12 talks about using the St. Francis prayer for a daily meditation. Well, this booklet, it was so simple. I just never thought of it before. It took one line per day, just one line, like, Lord, make me a channel of thy peace. And then a few guiding questions, and kind of a marching order, so to speak, and once this is done in the morning, it's like you are putting in your mind this idea. And it said, help me to remember during the day, when there's a lack of peace, where can I bring peace to this situation? And so cutting it down to just some simple ideas. You don't have to remember a 20-line prayer, but one line in the morning could change my entire day. And that was amazing. I just loved it. So things can change, but in even asking, like, what would you have me do? How would you have me pray? And then just, I'm asking a question, and then I can just sit back and listen. And it's informing, right? It's informative. And the insights that come just convince us that this is the real deal, that this line of communication is there if I want it. Byron Katie's work was another way of, in fact, Byron Katie, with looking at judgments, are in a Judge Your Neighbor worksheet, and you would be looking at a resentment in a certain way, and she would always say, this work is a meditation. So there's many types of meditation. You can take meditation classes, or do a worksheet. I would have never thought of thinking of that Byron Katie worksheet as a meditation, but you are asked to kind of go within and see what it is I'm really thinking. And this is what I'm bringing to the table, right? And with a desire for correction, as Stephan said, with a desire for correction. But before I had the desire for correction, it took me a long time to see this, that how insistent I was on being right. And so that if I'm insistent that I'm right about the way I'm thinking about a situation, and it isn't, there's conflict involved, then I am not open and I'm not humble. But if I'm willing to be wrong, if I'm willing to let go of what I think I know, it's kind of goes along with our set aside prayer. And if I'm willing to let that go, I mean, an answer comes that is so peaceful to the whole situation, not just for me. It's not just like, God, make me right about this. That just isn't the way it comes through. It comes through in a way that it's like, oh, I never thought of that, and the problem is removed. Just like the book says, whatever the problem is, if that's what I want. I'm done.
Oh, so thanks. So step 11, there's so much help offered in it, and I spent so much time resisting it. Like, here's the help you need, Steve. And it's like, never mind. Until I did mind. At any rate, thanks, Lara.
Yeah, thanks, you guys. I was thinking about how in some of the history books they talk about the early members spending a lot of time in the morning with quiet time. and how that was a practice that was part of the Oxford group practices, and two-way prayer and that sort of thing. And that was kind of interesting. That was one of the benefits from COVID for me, is that I was able to I was given the luxury of all this time. And because of that, I tuned into a morning meeting every day that we meditated together for 15 minutes, and then we would talk for 45 minutes about our meditation. And it was just such an amazing experience. Yeah, I am lucky. I mean, I'm lucky if I get like 5 minutes a week, because I go to a meeting that we meditate for 5 minutes at the beginning of the meeting. But my husband and I get up and do some structured reading and readings of spiritual literature. So we try to get our minds right at the beginning of the day. Yeah. Why? I wonder why people are so resistant to it. It says one of the in the 12 and 12, one of the first fruits of meditation is emotional balance. And I thought,
Yeah, they should have a phrase. They should have a phrase for the way many of us think and call it alcoholic thinking.
man, oh man, oh man, yeah. But Nancy, I think I've used that formatted St. Francis prayer where they take a line out. I think you might have gotten it, Stephen, when you went to the emotional sobriety workshop that Wayne B put on.
Oh, maybe that's where I got it.
Yeah, he wrote that book, that What's the Point, and it takes people through the steps. Yeah, really a powerful thing. But the 11th step part is, I think, the big takeaway out of that workshop for me was the 11th step, and I utilized that for quite a while. It's a great way to start the day,
Oh, and that very well is where I didn't know where it came from. I actually ended up, going down and having some copies made, gave them to a few people. But the point was that I came across it, in a way, like I wasn't looking for it. It was like, Nancy, here, use this. And so, but I'm delighted when that happens. I'm given just what I need. 2 months ago, the month of October, I came across this email that I'm on this person's email list. So I get emails constantly, but there was this one that said, I'm going to do a 4-week meditation hour for the month of October. And I get a lot of that stuff. Like, I don't know. But this one, it was just like highlighted, like, take this. And I was like, oh, okay. It was just this sense, this prompt to do that. And that is what I think is a benefit of our desire to improve our conscious contact, is that the right tool is kind of, at least for me, is kind of like put in front of me. And I feel a yes, an internal yes, when that happens. And the end result of that is that I know I'm taken care of and given what I need, which is priceless.
Well, absolutely, yeah.
Like a Visa card.
I'm always amazed, I don't know. I'm just amazed. It's like the answers to all our, spirituality. What's that line in the book? Spirituality is the answer to all my problems.
Spiritual principles.
Okay. Yeah. And then, yeah.
If somebody wanted to look at the bottom of page 42.
Yes. Well, there you go.
There you go.
It gets any more simpler than that. Well, thanks, you guys. Thanks again for
thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah, it's been great, and we'll do step 12 this month.
Yes, we will. Give it a couple weeks. Hopefully, Christmas and all of that, whatever, won't.
Yeah.
Too distracted, but okay. So let's keep each other on task.
See you tomorrow.
Yes, sponsorship workshop tomorrow.
Everybody tune in.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks,
Okay, you
Sarah.
guys. Thank you.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.